Hello, fiends, friends, and familiars. This is Matt Orozco here from Macabre Daily, and I am so excited to be joined today by Laudis and Raitis Abele, who are the filmmakers behind the film Dog of God, which has been premiering at festivals like Tribeca, Fantasia, and is coming to Fright Fest UK this month. And as I was just telling them both before we hit record, easily the most interesting film I've seen this year. I can't stop thinking about it. So, Laudis and Raitis, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with me.
And thank you, Matt, for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, just really very basic in terms of how did you both arrive at the idea for Dog of God? What were some of the inspirations and kind of origins of the story?
It's our story with werewolves goes back a long time because in Latvian there's a lot of werewolf stories. If you go to countryside, you will hear some or meet some people who have experienced something. We have a lot of forests and a lot of swamps, but
And a lot of dark. We have a lot of dark winters.
Yeah.
also. And we did a reenactment documentary. It's called Baltic Tribes, Last Pagans of Europe. And it's about 13th century, about the Fourth Crusade, when Germans came and Christianized. We and Latvians and Lithuanians were officially last unchristianized pagan tribes. And we worked a lot with historians, and there was a lot of mythology. And we were kind of always interested into our history. It's quite complex, but we have, apart from some, even today, as we are a Christian country, but we're a Christian country by the paper. We're not so Christian, let's say, as in people in Poland. We're more pagan, and if you watch the film Midsummer, and they filmed it in Sweden, but it's in our eyes it's really wrong because Swedish people don't celebrate it but so much. But for us, it's like a pagan festive. Everyone goes out of our capital city is empty, and the idea is to go in a countryside, do rituals, fertility rituals, make fire, have beer. And back in the day, it was people who were made in midsummer. They got born in March. And if you get born in March, then probably you can survive, get some vitamins, and survive through winter. So it's like we have a lot of those mystical and pagan traditions infused into our culture. And also the naughty stuff in the film, it's called like we have a four strokes, like haiku. And as a kids, we're not allowed to read the volume 6, which is like the naughty one. Which is absolutely like pagan sexuality and everything like that. So we were kind of always into this our heritage scene. As kids, we like histories, and we made 2 movies, documentaries about that. And we were approached by scriptwriter Ivo Briedis, and I knew about this werewolf trial, but I didn't know so much. When he presented the script and this werewolf trial of all these, everyone can Google it up, or in Wikipedia it's called like Hound of God. We called it Dog of God, and it's one of the most well-written werewolf trials in Europe because it was transcribed in very well, and it happened like 60 kilometers from where we live in capital city, in some other city. Yeah. And the church is still there. It's these days it's from a stone, but back then it was a wooden church. So it's super near. If you would go outside of our capital city, you will end up in a lot of like there will be a tree where the witches were hanged. Then you can go to the swamp where people got lost. You can go to the forest where people get weird thoughts. So it's all around us. So
wow.
we didn't have to, we grew up with it.
I mean, that's such an interesting landscape because, I mean, I'm based in North America, and because we're such a young country, we don't have such a rich history of folklore, and centuries of things to reflect back on. And we're also a very diverse nation of people of different religions and beliefs. My wife's Polish, and so I know very well how Roman Catholic that part of the world
Right.
is versus different than kind of other sects of Catholicism, especially the more pagan ones. And one thing that I think catches a lot of folks' eye about the film is that it uses rotoscope animation, which isn't, I think the last time I can remember rotoscope being used was a scanner darkly, and that was back in like the early 2000s. So why was it important that you use that animation format for this film?
We we our previous films were all like live action. For this Baltic tribes, we used some animation, but it was not rotoscope animation. But we worked in a studio that was together with animators, so we've been familiar with the techniques, and like since we started doing movies, we played around with different techniques. But then with this film, also the writer Ivo Briedis, when he approached, and initially idea was to have a live action movie, but he didn't know how to start it going. Whether make it like really big and then it's super expensive and we can never make it, or go really small, weird, but then we didn't have the right visual thing and we could not really agree on how to do it. And then I started to work with a friends of ours, guys who did slow animation, and I was helping them to assemble the team in the beginning, in the first year, just to build up, because Gintz, the director, had never worked in a bigger team, so he asked to join more people, so we started building up how to do it. And I was involved in this whole for a year and a half in this animation world. And then I proposed Lauris, hey, let's do Dogo God in animation. And he was at first against it, because it was like out of the blue in a way.
Right.
And but then we asked our friend, who is a really great artist, Haris Drunman, to do just the first sketches of test how it could look. And that was the moment Lauris got on the board with this new idea. Let's do animation. Because like right away, it fitted. We got the star in three of us, all in between. Like we have a anchor or a point what to reach. And basically, like, because we come from more from art house, European art house scene in filmmaking, rotoscope was one of the ways we knew how to do, because we could work with actors, we could really film performances, we could set up dialogues, and just then do the creative version over that. But we knew how to do. Yeah, because that's not like, it is animation, but not real animation. So
Right.
it's still the real performance of actors, and we know how to work with actors.
Yeah, we read in one review that they said, oh, the character Klebis, voiced by Jurgis Spulinieks, he's not actually voiced. Every actor is an actor. Their voice is recorded on set. There's no ADR, so it's animation with real actors, and that was the idea behind the rotoscoping. And also, you mentioned Scanner Darkly. We didn't, and neither Haris nor us, we didn't like Scanner Darkly. Visually, for us, it was more like Ralph Bakshi, Fire and Ice, or
It's like Frank Franzetta type stuff, like fantasy and.
No, I mean visually, just
Okay.
the way the Scanner Darkly with a rotoscope with a technique that was a kind of, it was modern for that time, but I think it aged badly if you look these days. But Ralph Bakshi films, that rotoscope, I think it ages really well.
Well, I
like
think
a lot
it's
of those 80s animations, dark animations, fantasy.
yeah, I mean those I still think that people refer to like the Lord of the Rings animated films and the Hobbit animated films as being kind of some of the best interpretations. Obviously, we have the live action Peter Jackson films, but I
Yeah.
think the animation ones are what a lot of folks, I'm in my 40s, so like folks my age, that's how we first experienced those stories aside from the book. And I think the rotoscope animation works so well. It's almost like I kind of compare it like if Ken Russell's The Devils, was like a rotoscope film. It's like it's got so much of that religious folklore kind of um and also just it's you mentioned nasty, but but it's also really funny. There's a part in the beginning where a drunk person is trying to take advantage of the barmaid and she takes a cat. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's just such a great scene. Even the way you capture your actors in the bar and kind of the destitution of them all being a bunch of, drunks essentially. And with that, there's such a heavy emphasis on religion in Dog of God, and you've done such a great job of explaining kind of the background. But it's also a through line through other films that you've made, some of the documentaries you've done. Aside from the cultural importance, what is it that draws you both to the idea of kind of religion, folklore, and paganism?
It's we don't have. I can speak also for Raitis. We don't have any problem with any form of religion, be it shamanism, be it Christianity, be it Hinduism. It's people are searching for road to meet the Great Spirit, for the ways to meet Great Spirit. But what we would say, we try to put it also in a movie. It's always when an organization or some hierarchy comes in. It comes to take control of this spiritual search of the people, and it makes a system. And Raitis once read a book. I think it was it was an article by one philosopher who said that organization is an example of the devil's existence on Earth. And he said that there was an example for an animal shelter, and it's a good thing to do, and then it grows. Guides can tell it better, yeah.
It's by a Czech author, but he writes in French because he lived in France. Milan Kundera, that animal rights organization or shelter. When it becomes organization, there you can see the true face of the devil on the face of earth. So yeah, egos start to work, personal demons start to work. My truth or my way is better than others, and almost every hierarchy at some point starts to corrupt itself. We see it in politics, we see it in church, we see it in sometimes even in families.
And answering to your question, the themes, and we don't want to explain it for our audience. Every character is symbolic, and we have a system for that. So it's kind of but we think that the same things are happening now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think, again, I'm based in the US, and so I think we're seeing what happens when power structures start to move towards a more authoritarian way of, and I know Latvia's history, especially with relation to Russia, like you all have gone through a lot of this in breaking your own independence in the past. So I think that the themes really resonate. But you also do a very good job of not trying to make it the point so much as making it a part of the story that people can, again, take from it what they want. And I also want to mention the music. The music is so good, and I found myself like it's kind of got like an electronic techno beat to it, but it's such a juxtaposition to the time period that it's set in. And I'm curious to know kind of how you decided on the sounds, that you were going to use to score the film.
Raitis at first proposed, when we did this Baltic Tribes Pagans film, we used the folk instruments mixed with some modern stuff, and there was a composer who did it. We have I forgot the English name for our local instrument. It's like a guitar, but it's a
like a mandolin.
Harp. It's some kind of harp.
Harp. Yeah, a lap harp. and we have also like bagpipes and some string instruments, and we decided not to do it because this is a fantasy and it should be. We use historical stuff, some details like lamps are precise, and then there's torch by the tavern, which is mystical, and there's a blend of it. And we decided to also, for samples, we put some synth-driven music, and then when we had to compose it, there were a lot of influences from our childhood movies, which all had this synth-driven, like 80s synths.
Like Tangerine Dream and stuff like that?
Yes, exactly, yeah. Then with Raitis, we play in alternative psychedelic rock bands, like Swans, Neuroses, and we like the power of the guitar chords, that it's not like this heavy music when you break a beer can against your head, but that is like heavy music that pushes the borders of music. And then also some spiritual shamanic experiences that we wanted to put in. So it's kind of like a mishmash of everything. So we found it quite hard maybe to explain to some composers. So we have good composers, but it was kind of a vision in a head, like how to say, cultural citation of some things everything that we love. Yeah.
I mean, it works so well. Like again, and I find myself wanting to go back to the film just because it's such a great harmony of the audio and the visual. So hey, it's one of the most interesting scores I've heard in a long time because it just doesn't play by our rules. It fits the piece extremely well, but it also doesn't feel like what you would expect. And my last question for you all is really just around wider plans for this. I mean, I'm trying to sing the praises of this film as much as I possibly can, but is there any news you have to share around possibly a physical media release, putting the score out in any way, any distribution? Because I think this is it's a film that people need to see. It's almost impossible to explain to someone what it's about. You need to experience it.
Raitis, can you?
Yes,
Raitis is a director producer, so he knows more about the actual state of the film right now. Now I know that it's traveling festivals right now, which we are happy very.
Yeah, it will. So it's gonna be in a sidewalk and in popcorn frights in US, and then Fright Fest, and then we have in autumn lots of European festivals. And right now our sales agent is signing a deal with a US company for releasing next year it theatrically. So
yes.
yeah, I can't mention the name because the deal is not signed yet. They still do something, but yeah, that's what's on the table. And regarding the score, well, Lauris promised to put it out there months ago or something like that, and so this is an encouragement for Lauris to do it. And Laura, you can announce the date, please.
16th October. I don't know, maybe earlier.
Well, no pressure.
Yeah, I need to go to meet the sound engineers that mixed it to add it in one. Let's say, like Raitis is driving a car, so it's a car driving music. It's like a soundtrack for your road trip.
I mean, it would be great to have. I mean, it's one of those things, and it's like kind of like the score from Maniac, the remake, where it kind of pulses and it exists without the film very well. So you've got already a purchase in advance from me. And the last thing is I had a question about the poster. Who designed the poster? I know it looks like it's kind of a compilation of maybe some stills from the film, but it looks great.
It's the main artist, Haris Grumans. It's like he drew everything. He didn't. We found an artist that could draw some background trees for him. And as artists are like, for us it looks the same, but no, it's like different branches. And so he did everything himself. It was a lot of work for him, and he is responsible for all our this identity, because he's control freak in a good way, that he wants to like everything to be by his vision. When we talk and we create, it's like we're mostly on one page, but he designs a poster, and he designs Instagram materials if someone follows us on Instagram. So it's his job. He will make also a t-shirt design we're talking right now, and there will be also a beer, Dog of God.
Awesome. I mean, Lauris, and I know Raitis probably had to jump off, but I just want to say to you both, thank you for taking this time to speak about the film. I'm going to continue to sing its praises until we get a wider release here in the States. I know it's going to playing some festivals, so wherever it is, we'll make sure to give it some coverage. But just a tremendous film, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it, and also appreciate you all making it. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt, and for having us. It's always a pleasure that we do some creative work and somebody appreciates it somewhere else.
It's much appreciated. Again, it's for someone like me who's got more transgressive tastes. It's a perfect film. So thank you again, Lauris, and thank you again to Raitis. And hopefully I get to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.